My sister mocked my life choices until she realized I controlled her salary. I remember the exact moment she said it. We were sitting in my parents' suburban kitchen in Connecticut, sunlight pouring through the wide bay window, reflecting off the granite countertops my father proudly installed 5 years ago. Sunday dinners had always been mandatory in our house. Appearances mattered. And my sister, Vanessa, loved appearances more than anyone. She had the perfect husband, the perfect 2-story colonial house, 2 perfect blonde kids, and a perfectly rehearsed smile. I had none of that. No husband, no children, no visible job. At least that's what everyone thought. Vanessa took a sip of her sparkling water and tilted her head at me like she was examining something mildly disappointing. "So," she said sweetly, loud enough for the table to hear, "are you still figuring things out?" My mother stiffened slightly. I smiled. "I'm doing fine." Vanessa laughed. "Doing fine? You're 32, Mia. No husband, no kids, no real career. Don't you want more?" There it was. The judgment. The superiority. The public humiliation, disguised as concern. My dad cleared his throat but didn't intervene. He never did. I shrugged casually. My life works for me. Vanessa leaned closer. "You just don't want to admit you made bad choices." Bad choices. That was funny. Because if she only knew. The unsuccessful sister. Growing up, Vanessa had always been the golden child. Cheer captain. Homecoming queen. Married at 24 to a finance guy from Boston. I was the quiet one. Bookish, analytical, always thinking 3 steps ahead. While she posted engagement photos and baby announcements, I was building something quietly, something invisible. After college, I moved to New York City. Everyone thought I was freelancing and finding myself. I let them think that. In reality, I was building a tech startup out of a 1-bedroom apartment in Brooklyn. Long nights. Cold pizza. Code. Pitch decks. Investor rejections. I lost friends. I lost sleep. I almost lost my sanity. But I never lost focus. 3 years in, I secured my first major investor. 5 years in, my company expanded to 3 states. 7 years in, we quietly acquired 2 competitors. I never posted about it. I never bragged. I never corrected my sister's assumptions. Because power doesn't scream. It waits. The dinner that changed everything. Back in that kitchen, Vanessa continued. "I just worry about you," she said dramatically. "What happens when Mom and Dad aren't around anymore?" There it was. Security. She thought I needed saving. I folded my napkin carefully. "I'll be okay." Her husband, Mark, chimed in. "What exactly do you do again?" I looked at him. "I run a company." Vanessa smirked. "An online blog isn't a company, Mia." I met her eyes. "It's not a blog." She laughed outright this time. And that's when my phone buzzed. I glanced down. Payroll approval required, Northeast Division. Vanessa's company name flashed beneath it. I kept my expression neutral. Because Vanessa worked in marketing. At a mid-sized logistics tech firm that had recently gone through a quiet acquisition. An acquisition that had not been publicly announced yet. An acquisition I personally finalized 2 months ago. She didn't know the parent company. She didn't know the board. She didn't know the ownership structure. And she definitely didn't know that her paycheck came from me. The secret. When I bought her company, I saw her name in the employee directory. Vanessa Carter, senior marketing strategist. I remember leaning back in my office chair, staring at the screen. Of all the companies, of all the people, fate had a twisted sense of humor. I could have fired her. I could have cut her position during restructuring. Instead, I gave her a raise. Not because she deserved it, but because I wanted options. Power isn't about revenge. It's about leverage. The spark. That Sunday night, after dinner ended, Vanessa followed me out to the driveway. She lowered her voice. "You know I'm hard on you because I care, right?" I looked at her calmly. "No," I said. "You're hard on me because you think you're better than me." Her smile flickered. "I am better positioned," she corrected. I almost laughed. Better positioned. If only she understood corporate structure charts. She touched my arm. "I just don't want you ending up alone." Alone. The irony nearly made me dizzy. Because I wasn't alone. I had 142 employees, 3 offices, and complete control over her department's upcoming budget review. I stepped back. "Don't worry about me," I said softly. "Worry about yourself." She frowned, confused. And for the first time in years, I saw uncertainty in her eyes. Monday morning. The next morning, I sat in my Manhattan office on the 27th floor. Glass walls, skyline view, silence. My executive assistant stepped in. "We're ready for the Northeast leadership call." I nodded. Vanessa would be on that call. She didn't know the CEO would be attending live. She didn't know the CEO was me. Because I typically kept a low profile during acquisitions, operating under our holding company's name. Today, I decided to change that. I joined the video conference. 30 small faces appeared in boxes. Vanessa was in the 3rd row. She wasn't paying attention at first. Then the host said, "Before we begin, I'd like to formally introduce the founder and majority owner of the parent company." Her eyes lifted casually, then froze. Her color drained. Her mouth parted slightly. "Mia Carter," the host continued, "CEO." Silence. Complete silence. Vanessa stared at the screen like she'd seen a ghost. I looked directly into the camera. Professional, calm, controlled. "Good morning, everyone," I said. My voice steady. Confident. Authoritative. And then I added, "I'm looking forward to working closely with all of you moving forward." Vanessa's breathing visibly changed. She knew. In that single moment. She understood. The sister she mocked. The sister she pitied. The sister she thought was a failure. Controlled her salary. And that was just the beginning. Because power isn't about humiliation. It's about decisions. And I had one to make. Do I protect her position? Expose her incompetence? Or teach her something she's never learned in her perfectly curated life? Respect. I leaned back in my chair as the meeting continued. And I watched her squirm. For once, the golden child didn't shine. When the meeting ended, Vanessa logged off before anyone else. She didn't text me. She didn't call. But 3 minutes later, my phone buzzed. "Vanessa, is this some kind of joke?" I stared at the message for a long moment before replying. "Me? No." 3 dots appeared immediately, disappeared, reappeared. "Vanessa, you bought our company." "Me? Yes." No emojis, no drama, just facts. She didn't respond again. Because there was nothing to say. The budget review. 2 weeks later, we held the quarterly performance review for the Northeast Division. Vanessa's department was underperforming. Not catastrophically, but enough. Her marketing strategy relied heavily on brand image and aesthetic campaigns, polished, expensive, and flashy. But data doesn't care about aesthetics. Data cares about results. When her presentation came up, she looked composed. Too composed. The kind of composure people wear when they're trying not to panic. She began confidently. Charts, growth projections, audience engagement metrics. Then I asked one question. "Can you explain the 18% drop and conversion rates following the Q2 rebrand. Her jaw tightened. It was a strategic repositioning, she said. I understand that, I replied calmly, but revenue decreased. Silence filled the virtual room. I wasn't humiliating her. I was doing my job. But for the first time in her life, she couldn't smile her way out of accountability. Marketing doesn't control sales, she said carefully. No, I agreed, but it influences them. The room stayed quiet. She adjusted in her seat. I continued, voice even. We need measurable performance improvement within the next 60 days. Otherwise, we'll restructure the department. Restructure. Corporate language for consequences. Her face paled slightly. Because she finally understood something. I wasn't her sister in that room. I was her CEO. The confrontation. That Friday, she showed up at my Manhattan office unannounced. My assistant buzzed me. There's a Vanessa Carter here insisting on seeing you. I almost smiled. Send her in. She walked in like she owned the place. Then she saw the skyline view. The office. The authority. And something shifted in her posture. You didn't tell me, she said. You never asked, I replied. She folded her arms. You embarrassed me. No, I said calmly. I held you accountable. Her voice rose slightly, in front of everyone. That's how executive reviews work. She stared at me. This is revenge, isn't it? That question hung between us. Was it? I leaned back in my chair. If I wanted revenge, Vanessa, you wouldn't still have a job. Silence. She swallowed. For the first time in her life, she looked unsure. You think I've been cruel to you, she said quietly. I think, I replied, you've measured worth by rings, children, and appearances. She didn't deny it. Because she couldn't. You made me feel small, I continued, for years. She looked down. But here's the difference between us, I said. I built something while you were busy judging me. The words weren't angry. They were factual. And facts hurt more than insults. The breaking point. Over the next month, Vanessa worked harder than I'd ever seen. Her department pivoted strategy. She cut unnecessary spending. She leaned into analytics. For the first time, she stopped performing for attention and started performing for results. And the numbers improved. Slowly. Steadily. One evening, she called me. Not to argue. Not to accuse. Just to talk. I didn't know, she said quietly. About what? About how hard you worked. I thought you were just drifting. I laughed softly. You never asked. I didn't think I needed to. There it was again. Assumption. I was scared, she admitted. You not following the same path, it made me feel like maybe I chose mine too quickly. That surprised me. Vanessa wasn't superior. She was insecure. She needed validation. Marriage, kids, social approval. They weren't proof of happiness. They were proof of safety. And my independence threatened that. The decision. At the next executive review, her department showed a 9% recovery in conversions. Not perfect, but promising. After the meeting, the board asked me privately, do we replace her? I looked at the data. Then I looked at her effort. No, I said. We give her another quarter. Power isn't about destroying people. It's about choosing what kind of leader you want to be. I could have ended her career. Instead, I gave her space to grow. Sunday dinner again. 3 months later, we were back at my parents' house. Same table. Same sunlight. But the atmosphere felt different. Vanessa passed me the salad bowl without commentary. No smirks. No subtle digs. Finally, she cleared her throat. I'm proud of you, she said quietly. The table went still. Our mother blinked. Our father looked confused. I studied her face. She meant it. And for the first time, it wasn't performance. It was humility. "Thank you," I replied. No gloating. No dramatic reveal. Because the real Raven was never about controlling her paycheck. It was about proving I never needed her approval. The final conversation. Later that evening, she pulled me aside. "I was wrong," she said. I nodded. "I know." She laughed softly. "You don't have to sound so confident." "I am confident." She hesitated. "Do you think I'm replaceable?" There was vulnerability in her voice I'd never heard before. "At work?" I asked. She nodded. "Yes," I said honestly. Her face fell slightly. "But so am I," I continued. "That's how leadership works. You earn your place every quarter." She absorbed that. Then she asked something unexpected. "Can you mentor me?" I paused. The golden child. Asking for guidance. The irony wasn't cruel. It was poetic. "Yes," I said. The real ending. A year later, Vanessa earned a promotion. Not because she was my sister, but because she became competent, disciplined, strategic. She stopped competing with me and started improving herself. Our relationship changed too. Not perfect, but honest. She stopped measuring my life against hers, and I stopped carrying resentment. Because here's the truth. Success isn't marriage. Success isn't motherhood. Success isn't a title. Success is freedom. And the day she realized I controlled her salary was the day she realized I controlled my life. That was the real power. Not dominance. Not humiliation. Choice. And I chose not to destroy her. I chose to rise.